Well, it would be nice if we could use our own control, the rating control, just like the built-in inputs. So if I could use vModel on this, and then simply bind the value that this control has internally to some data property I store here. So that I have a rating here, initially it's null, and I bind rating with vModel to the rating control. It would be nice if we could use it like this. And we can. You might remember that at the beginning of the course, relatively at the beginning, I explained that vModel on an input element was in the end just a shortcut. It was a shortcut for manually listening to the input event and binding the value attribute. You might remember this. I mentioned this at the beginning. vModel is just a shortcut for this. And that's something we can leverage. Now the input event and the value prop, that's specific to input elements here. But if you use vModel on a custom component, that is something which is supported by Vue. And Vue will set a very specific prop if you use vModel on a component. It will set a very specific prop in that component, and it will listen to a very specific event which you can emit in that component. Now, which prop is that and which event is that? Let's go to rating control. As I just said, vModel will set a specific prop, so therefore we should declare that prop. And that prop which will be set is the model value prop. So using vModel on a custom component is like manually binding the model-value prop like this. That's one thing vModel does under the hood on custom components. The other thing is the special event that's emitted. That is the update model value. Yes, this looks strange, but you can name your events however you want, and this is the name Vue will be waiting for when you use vModel on a custom component. So using vModel here is like manually binding model value, the model value prop, and listening to the update model value custom event. If you use that, it's the same as if you use vModel. So therefore, if we accept this prop in our component and emit this event, we can use vModel on our component. And therefore, back in rating control, all we gotta do here is we have to emit this update model value event in our activate method and forward this option to vModel, and also initialize our active option with the model value we get on the prop here, so that the form component, so this component here, is able to set our initial value, so that this rating initial value here, which we bind to vModel, is the initial value reflected in our component. And if we do all of that, we can go back to the form and now start console logging this. Console log rating, and console log this rating therefore, this rating, and also reset rating to null thereafter and see whether that works. And if we reload, we can choose our different options, but if I submit this, we also see the option we picked here being output in the console. Now what we also see though is that resetting doesn't seem to work. If I submit this, I do set rating back to null here, but unfortunately this does not reset it here. And therefore our visual feedback is not in sync with the value stored in rating here. Now why is this happening? Well, because we only use the model value prop to initialize active option, but thereafter the model value is not reflected in our active option here. And that's of course a problem. We can work around that though. Instead of using the data here, which wouldn't react to changes in our model value which come from outside, we can simply use a computed property here. we can set up active option as a computed property. Now, what's my idea here? Well, we are emitting this event here whenever we pick a new option. And this event is picked up by vModel, and the option which we picked will then be stored in our rating data property there, because it's that property which we bound to rating control. Now, vModel works such that this value is then fed back into this component. So this prop value, the model value prop value, will be updated whenever we emitted this event. So now we can just use active option here and return this .model value. Or, of course, skip this altogether and just use model value instead of active option here in the template. That would also work, because that holds the value which we passed here to activate. And of course, then in activate, we can get rid of this line as well. So now if we save that and reload, we can still select different options, but now if we reset it, this is cleared. And now this is therefore in sync with the rest of our form. And that is how we can build custom controls. We build regular components and we listen to this special prop, or we use this special prop, and we emit this special event. That's the whole idea here.